Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we got an awesome guest in the house. Can't say too much, but I'm going to say a lot anyways. This man has won, not just one, but 2 Grammys. Yeah, give him some respect and give him some flowers. Okay? He's a master and also he's a professor of music. He is also a friend of ours behind the scenes. Awesome stories. Mr. Darryl Swann. And like that, let's go, compadres. Let's go, compadres. We got an amazing guest in the house, ladies and gentlemen.
Sure do.
Can't say too much, but I will say a lot. He is a Grammy Award winning
2 times
producer. Yes, a master of music.
Yes.
I want to go ahead and say that. He is also well-rounded with instruments and equipment because he hooked us up.
Right.
We wouldn't be where we at if it wasn't for this cat. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for the man, the myth, and the legend himself. Mr. Darryl Swann, ladies and gentlemen.
Awesome.
What's going on? What's going on?
For sure.
Welcome, man. I'm really looking forward to this.
Pleasure.
I know you spit a lot of fire, so I'm ready to hear it. So
It's
Man.
a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Pleasure is all ours.
My pleasure.
Can't say too much, ladies and gentlemen, but I will say this. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because a lot of this wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for the instrumental help that you had with us in the beginning. You saw us recording from this man's, house and everything like that, trying to get it to this point. So, man, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You connected the mastermind and everything with this. So, man, thank you. Thanks,
It's
Rick.
really beautiful. I couldn't be happier. Couldn't be
man.
happier. I'm honored to be here for real.
No.
Seriously, so come up. Straight up, come up.
Appreciate it, brother.
I like that. So let's go ahead and just take them back down memory lane and just, let us know, and the compadres at home, where you're originally from, your upbringing and your family and everything like that. Brother.
Absolutely. So I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. Moved down here with my heavy metal band in the 80s. Yes.
In the 80s.
In the 80s, man. I got a picture for you.
Haven, right?
No, he's got a great picture he showed me and Mark, man.
I had that hair down here. I was 120 pounds wet.
Hey.
Right.
But I grew up, it's so funny because I was that kid. I idolized my older brother, and he's pretty much the reason why I am a music person, because we shared a room, and he had the best musical taste, and he would always buy albums, and I would always just sit there with him and just listen to albums. And my father be bumping albums downstairs, and my brother be playing punk music. So I was exposed to so much music. My brother took an engineering class. Well, I'll say this first. I was always playing in bands,
Right.
like
Okay.
garage bands, right?
Mm-hmm.
My first band was called the Lab Rats. 3 brothers playing metal. That's awesome. Judas Priest, Van Halen. Man, we was going.
In Cleveland,
We
huh?
were going in the basement. Cleveland Rock. We used to fuck a basement up. So the funny thing is, so I was the guy in the band. Whenever we do a gig, the brothers would chasing the girls. I was the guy setting the PA up. Setting the mics up. So I'm doing a guitar solo, I hear feedback. I got to do the mixer and shit like that. Okay, resume. So
Right.
I always had a passion for, mics and just gear and stuff like that. I would go to a concert. I would be as excited about the PA system and the mixing board and all of the ancillary shit as I was about the performance. So I've always had this dual-sided thing. So Lab Rats evolved into a group called Haven.
Okay.
I call it Gavin. Sorry. That's politically incorrect. Haven. So basically we were a big fish in a small pond in Cleveland, Ohio. And this woman named Jennifer Monroe, she was a lawyer back in Cleveland. She just liked us. She brought us out to California. The guys raised some money, took a school bus out to California, landed here in 1986. And from there, we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, 6 dudes and 2 women.
Wow.
2 managers and 6 dudes in a 1-bedroom apartment for like 5 years.
Wow.
It was crazy, man. We played the Troubadour, the Roxy, Madame Wong's, Gazzari's. We played the whole strip, the entire strip. Couple years doing that, I actually started working in a recording studio called Silver Lake Recording on Hyperion Avenue. Right. My first session as a second engineer was with LA and Babyface when they produced the song Rock Steady by the Whispers. Rock.
Okay. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
That was my first session as a second engineer. I was just like a kid in the can. I was like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I was asking L.A. Reid all these questions. So what? Wait, you use the Lin 9000? My boy was like, take it easy, bro. Take it easy.
Rest, young grasshopper.
Yeah, yes.
I know you know this.
When you can take the pebble out of my hand. So that was my first thing. So from that point, I lived at that studio for the next 3 years. I slept under the mixing board. The crazy thing was, all my students have heard these stories. The crazy thing was, it was the 80s. So doing, my runs as a second engineer, picking up stuff, we're picking up hookers, picking up blow, picking up E&J. So I would be working the patches and stuff like that, and they say, oh, we need to run.
Hold on, man. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
I know
it's so crazy. Because we were talking about this a little bit downstairs about the 80s, how nuts it was.
Man.
I'm sorry to interrupt,
clear my
but
throat for
that
that
was funny to me.
We would go to the rainbow, not the rainbow, on Sunset, and there'd always be this like old guy with a hairy shirt with chains, a bunch of teenage girls in bikinis, and then there'd be a pound of blow. It'd be a rock, a big mound of blow, and the girls would be like, "Can I have some more?" It was insane. Every table was like that, dude. It was like, why is this fossil got these beautiful young women?
Yeah, man.
Love that word. Love that word.
And they're all laughing. You know that look? You know that guy? Oh, shit. You know that guy?
I do.
Oh, man. You guys are extraordinary compadres.
Yeah, my man, I haven't laughed like that in a minute, bro. Oh, actually, I know laughing is living, but I mean, you're funny as yeah, I know it is. With the way
it said truth is stranger than. What you say?
That said, you got me sweating already.
I got a brother moist already.
Pause. Big pause. Now, but continue.
Yeah, cool. So I'll move it forward because I'll definitely splinter off some tangents. So
it's all good,
just
man.
Go like this, bring me back.
This go
break off a rock here and there.
Yeah,
chip off a rock here.
Chip me off a little rock. Lord. So yeah, we would. So I would live on the mixing boards, and I would pick up. That was my pickups. I got a lot of names I could say. You would know. It'd be like, oh shit. So I saw a lot of things. Yeah. I slept on the mixing boards, and so because I would work for literally at that time I wasn't doing coke yet. So but all the clients were. So they would be up for like 2-3 days, and so me, 19 years old, I adapted the ability to stay up for days at a time without sleep. That was before, like I said, before I started using. It was just a natural, just a natural cycle.
He had the juice before the use.
Hanging with these motherfuckers. Right. And so I would get a couple hours of sleep from like 5 a.m. to like 9 a.m. And so what I would do is I would, instead of sleeping, I'd be like, man, fuck this. I saw this guy making beats on the drum machine. I saw the engineer working. So I would bring in artists and bands and use them as guinea pigs in the studio. So, yo, I got some free studio time. Come on in. And so what I would do is I would use them as guinea pigs. So I'd be like, you get some music, and I get to explore my craft. So at that time, sampling vinyl, like the MPC, the high MPC drum machine. It was first the Lin 9000, then the Akai MPC 60 came out, and that was a sampling drum machine. For everybody in this podcast, 90% of the beats that you heard from 1988 till about the year 2005 were made with either the SP1200, the EMU SP1200, or the MPC 60 or the 9000. I got a quick story about the MPC. I'll tell you about it in a second.
Big facts.
So what that deal is, I got it. That's so
big
funny.
Facts.
Quick side note. It's so funny because all beats were made pretty much with the MPC. Everything you heard from Dr. Dre, everything you heard from everything from 88 to about 2000. So the funny thing was when 2000, this is Splinter, I'm gonna bring it back. 2000, when DAWs came out, Pro Tools, and then Logic after that, then Ableton after that, people started making beats in their DAW, digital audio workstation. So people were making less beats in the MPC, basically sampling vinyl and making beats like that. So it's so funny. Lady Gaga started to get big, and EDM started to get big in the early 2000s. Then Kanye West came out, and people were like, the kids were like, oh, it's a new sound. All he was really doing was he's just using the MPC with vinyl. So all the old heads were like, oh, thank God, he's bringing vinyl back. But the kids are like, oh my God, it's a new sound. It's a new sound. He was just sampling vinyl.
I was one of those kids.
Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah, so I was just like, yes, he brought it back. So bring it on back. I would use bands and artists as guinea pigs from like 4 a.m. to like 9 a.m. And so I really got to build my producer skill. And really, a record producer is the same as a film director, which is in the recording studio. And the core job is to grab or get performances out of human beings, to manage personalities, to set the vision. It's really managing human beings. And if you think about a film director, I mean, one of their primary purposes is to get performances out of all of the other stuff, you know, cinematography and wardrobe and this and that. That can all be farmed out, kind of, and that has to be. But the director's core job is knowing what's the motivation of this line.
Yes.
Like, how am I going to sell this line? And that's that. So I really got to learn how to manage people and get performances out of them. You know, whether it be vocals or playing drums or whatever. I learned how to make beats. I learned how to mix and engineer. So I was creative, and I also had the technical skill. So that being said, after that, I went on. I met this girl. She was like, "You're stupid. You look stupid." I cut my. It was my first love. I cut my hair and I went to school. And I was like, "Okay, I love this girl." Right? She broke my heart. I was like, "Fuck it, I'm back." I got back in. That was in the early '90s, and got my first record deal with John Singleton.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
His
My grandma,
grandmother was my A&R lady. My artist and repertoire lady at Epic Records.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I had what I did was this. I was working with these cats in Venice, Shabani and Buster and Patrick Henderson. They were big. Did some big things. I was their engineer. And so what I would do once again was when they weren't there, I would bring in artists. I'm bringing artists and I'm developing. But I saw these brothers, no shade on them at all. They're great guys. But I saw these brothers, they were kind of chasing the carrot, because if you were trying to chase labels at that time, an A&R person, which is, for people that don't know, an A&R person is really the liaison between an artist and producers and stuff like that. It's the artist's connection to the label. It's their point person. So producers, an A&R person is the person that hires the producer, right, to produce this artist. So the A&R guy is like, yeah, you got good beats. Okay, you got good songs. All right, yeah, my artist is trying to do this. Let me see if it's a good match. No, I don't like you guys. So the A&R person really had the control. So with that said, but the thing is, a lot of A&R people they hedge. You know, I won't go into that joke, but A&R people, I'll say this. There was another splinter. There was a rabbit and an eel, right? And so neither of them could see each other, so right? So the rabbit was like, "Hey, Mr. Eel, get up on my back and tell me what I am." So the eel gets on the back. He's like, "Oh, you're furry. You got long ears and whiskers." Like, "Oh, I'm a rabbit." So the eel's like, "Do the same for me." He's like, "Okay, you're slimy and you got no ears." "Oh, I'm A&R." Slippery as hell and got no goddamn ears.
Hey, they gotta find the ways for y'all, man.
No shade on
None taken.
No shade on grandma. So that
funny.
being said,
That was funny.
yeah, I saw these brothers chasing A&R, and A&R not really knowing. So these brothers were constantly trying to please the A&R. I was like, I don't want to do that. So I took my MPC drum machine that I bought my paper route money, and I started making beats. So I sampled some Pink Floyd, who's my favorite group. Sampled some Pink Floyd and started putting beats to it. And I was like, I'm just going to create something I'm really passionate about. Around and put together a package, and that package got signed to John Singleton. He had just done Boys in the Hood, and he was getting ready to do Poetic Justice with Janet Jackson and Tupac.
Right.
It's a great film.
It was a great film.
Both
Absolutely.
are, but-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
John Singleton's great as well.
Yeah, he was. It was really cool. Just being, because we were around the same age, and just being two young cats. You know what I mean? And he had just done the Boys in the Hood, and so Sony gave him a huge deal, production deal. It was like a 7-picture deal, and they gave him a record. They were like, "Let's give you $1 million, start a record label." So he started a label called New Deal Music. He signed 2 artists, one called Mr. Grimm and Warren G, and then us. My group was called Cultural Revolution. We were kind of like a Black Eyed Peas. I was the main guy, and I had 2 girls, and a brother. So we were like a music collective. So Cultural Revolution, our group was signed to John Singleton's label. And so he was making the film, and he's like, "Man, but I love this, my label." So the song called Night and Day got placed in the film. It was in the film 2 times and at the end credits. It was amazing. And John Singleton shot our video. It was on MTV and BET for like 2 minutes. You know,
At that time.
God damn it, I made it. God damn it. Yeah. So that was in '94. Macy Gray actually was in my group at that time.
Oh, nice.
She was in my group, but
Wow.
she had done some of the demos, and she connected me actually with this dude named Paul Stewart, who connected me with John Singleton. It's all Hollywood, whole bunch of Hollywood. Yeah,
Slither.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of stuff. So Macy Gray gets her deal with Atlantic. I get my deal with John Singleton. A couple years later, I lose my deal. She loses her deal. I go back to being an engineer. She goes back to being just a songwriter. A couple years later, she hits me up. She says, "Hey, Darryl, I still got this publishing deal. You want to fuck with me?" So we go into my buddy's studio in 1997. And,
that impression can't slide. That was hilarious.
That
was
the way she talks real.
Hey,
I mean, I'm sure you do. You got to do some kind of comedy, bro. Because you're funny as.
That was.
I mean, you got it. If you don't, you should do it. You're funny as.
I'm trying to pull something out.
I'm trying to be calm.
I could go. Continue, man.
I could definitely go.
I know you can.
I produce all your
hours.
He's stupid. He's stupid.
Oh my God.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, continue, big dog.
Okay, so let me keep it going here because I get splinter.
Yeah, you got it.
So I lose my deal with John Singleton. Macy loses her deal with Atlantic. 1997, we go into a recording studio and record the song called I Try. All right, it was just a demo. There was a couple of the guys, myself and her, in my buddy's studio in Culver City. We fucked around, came out all night, came out the next morning with this song. That song was a merging of drum machine with live drums, with instruments, with digital stuff. So her publisher heard it and was like, "Oh my God, you guys have created some really dope shit. Right? Some like retro, but it's futuristic, this and that." She was able to put that demo of I Try in Jennifer Aniston's Picture Perfect, and also to Love Jones with Nia Long and Lawrence Tate.
Lawrence Tate.
So from that, her publisher was like, "Yo, keep writing." So at that time, I started working at Paramount Recording at Santa Monica and Vine. I was working with those guys, Mike and Adam, the owners, great guys. So I was an engineer with them, and once again, I was the king of stolen studio time. When people weren't working, I'm like, come on. So I would hit her up, "Hey, I'm gonna be done with this session at midnight. Come through." So I would have my MPC drum machine and my guitar, and she'd come up with her little notepad, and we would sketch out songs. So I would like make beats and write chords to her lyrics and melodies and this and that. And so we framed out 12 songs. From those frames, we'd bring in this keyboard dude, Jeremy, his bass dude named Dave Wilder, a couple other people. And so Studio D at Paramount was Guerrilla Studio Time. And we did the whole first record on stolen studio time and used 2-inch reels. We used to record songs. We used 2-inch reels. Yeah, we used big 2-inch reels.
Wow.
I would have to splice them together.
That's a lot of work.
That's work.
Splice them together,
That's
right?
real work.
The funny thing, here's a funny thing. I shouldn't even say this on a podcast. On the beginning of the song I Try, there's this violin swell. It goes, right?
Yes.
I had found actually a 2-inch reel. I used to go to this place called Coast Recording on Santa Monica, and they would have used reels. So the big film houses, before you had Pro Tools where one guy could play a whole symphony,
Absolutely.
you had to hire an orchestra, right? To play a film score.
Right.
So they would buy these 2-inch reels that had 24 tracks, right? So you could put 24 individual tracks on a 2-inch reel. The reels were like $350. You could only put 18 minutes of audio on it. So yeah, it's a lot. That's why you need a label just to make a record.
I've heard stories about the splicing. With films. I can
absolutely.
imagine.
So what would happen is these scoring houses, they would have a 50-piece orchestra and like a John Williams or something like that, a composer, and they'd have 50 people, and they would take these 2-inch reels and they would record on these 2-inch reels, right? But once they got what they wanted, they would mix it and then they would sell the master. They would sell the reels like, "We don't need this shit. We've transferred it over to half-inch. That's all we need."
Right.
Yeah.
So they would sell these 2-inch reels. I know I'm off on a geek trans.
No, this is good.
Trend.
Yeah, I'm loving this.
Thank you. They sell these 2-inch reels to these places, and cats like me is like digging through crates for DJs. I would go buy these reels, and they would have all these white spliced in them, so I'd have to go through because I could buy these reels for $50 as opposed to paying $350.
Right.
Exactly.
So whenever I would buy them, I would play the music. I would play the tape, be like, "Let me see if some shit on here." And so I found this one. It was like this orchestra. I was like, "Oh, that is fresh.
Right.
It's fresh. So I kept that spliced out the rest. And so we did the song. I said, let's start right after this symphonic. And so that became part of the record. So it was, I hope nobody comes back and sues me.
And those are the big movies. I remember both of those, man. That's crazy.
It's really something. It's really something. So to wrap this up so we can move forward, I know I've been talking a long time.
That's what you're here for.
Yeah, exactly.
All about you, brother.
So Studio D, Paramount, we put together good 13 songs, fully flushed out. From there, her lawyer got involved. This guy named Jeff Blue, who was a publisher at the time, a buddy of mine, gave her first publishing deal. I actually went on and helped him do the first Linkin Park demos. They were called Zero. They were called Zero, and he got him a big deal. And then he signed Limp Bizkit, but he was involved, and then her attorney Jill Berliner got involved. So basically, we had these demos that everyone now was like. Polly Anthony heard it at Epic, Jimmy Iovine heard it, and everyone was like, "Wow, there's some new." It's this cool eclectic sister, right? With this cool sound, this and that. And so there was a bidding war between Polly Anthony and Jimmy Iovine. I remember being in Jimmy Iovine's condo in Wilshire Boulevard, this little Al Pacino I'll give you $1 million. I was like, Jimmy Iovine is selling me?
Hey, do that again.
I don't give a I give you $1 million right now.
Oh, man.
That motherfucker goes. He goes.
So Al Pacino look.
Yeah, a little show. I mean, I'm not mad at them motherfucker.
Right.
But it's just it's a trip being just a young cat that's just living in the lab. You know what I mean? It's like some Forrest Gump. You're just like running backward. You're like, oh, I scored. It was like that. So you're just in the lab. The next thing you know, something you created, people are seeing value. And people starting to bid and stuff like that. And you're just like a deer in the headlights. You're like, what the what's going on?
Right.
Man, it's really a trip. I see how people can lose their souls and start believing their own press in Hollywood, because when you start winning, no one tells you no. No one tells you no.
Right.
No one tells you no. You lose your objectivity completely, and you start living in this bubble. Start living. If you have no spiritual foundation, you start living in a bubble. So that being said, bidding war happened, this and that, and so at that point, the money went to like close to $1 million, and she went with Epic Records, was Polly Anthony. And so at that point, Polly was like, man, I spent a whole lot of money now on this, on Macy Gray, so I need to better bring in a veteran producer to oversee the final stages of production. The record was done.
Yeah.
So we brought in this cat, I won't say any names, brought in this cat, and basically, he just had a drummer play on top of my shit and everything else. And this keyboard player play on top, and this guy, John Bryan, play. And yeah, a little value, but he wouldn't share any credit. So that was the first record. The first record blew up. I got to do the second record with Rick Rubin, which is amazing. That was crazy because here's the first thing. They say, you have your lifetime to make your first record and a year to make your second record. So that's why a lot of second records don't do
get
well.
made.
Right.
Because you bleed for your first one, you got nothing to lose. But once you hit, you have everything to lose. So it's like, hurry up, and make that same magic in 1 year that it took you 10 years to make, bleeding. It was really a trip.
Truth.
And don't give a new artist a whole lot of money. And free. We were at the record plant on the second record. We were at the first record. We were at Paramount on Stolen Studio Time. We were doing the second record with $1 million budget. Record plant, $6,000 a day, $3,000 a room, 2 rooms going for like 6 months. We were literally just losing our mind, spending too much money, doing too many drugs, just too much. So Polly was like, over the top. So she asked Rick Rubin if he would come in and just supervise us in the evening.
Supervise.
Just supervise.
And
you know,
that's
Rick
supervisor.
Rubin. Just pop in. Just pop in.
Right.
Just pop in.
So Rick Rubin.
I had the really wonderful pleasure of.
Was that actually his title? He was a supervisor.
He's the exec producer.
No, I just want to know if you guys actually call him the supervisor.
He was definitely he's a
yeah.
supervisor.
Funny as
No, he was a G. It's so funny, man. I got in there. So he literally was kind of like our like basically making sure the kids are not acting up.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
But so I had the really great pleasure of hanging out with that guy for like 3 or 4 months. Really great guy. And the funny thing, he was actually at the time doing the first System of a Down record, second System of a Down. I think it was second. Toxicity.
Toxicity.
One of my favorite records.
Chop Suey,
Chop Suey, absolutely.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they were recording that right down the street on Sunset. So while he would hang with us at record plant, and he'd say, "I got to go check on how the record's going." So he'd say, "You want to come?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" So I remember getting in his Bentley the first time, and I put my feet, and my foot disappeared in the carpet. I was like, "God damn!" Yeah, shag carpet in the Bentley. I was like, God, no, seriously,
Yeah.
seriously.
Is
So I
he
was
a
like,
long way from where he is now with his feet out and sandals? You know, and,
Yeah. No, he's always been that
eclectic
same guy.
Same guy, yeah.
Always been that same guy. Like I said, I had a great experience with the guy, and I learned a lot from him. And it was what was really confirming for me was being in just working with guys like Dave Pensato, who was a serial mixer, and Dave Way, and just being in rooms with men and women that have sold millions and millions and millions of records. And it's mastering engineers, Bernie Gruneman and Chris Bellman at Gruneman Mastering, just sitting with these people in front of speakers, working with people and hearing like, okay, they think that snare sounds good. I think that snare sounds good. Oh, so I guess my shit's kind of calibrated. It's a way to calibrate your ears.
Yeah.
Like, I'm hearing what they're hearing, and what I'm hearing, I think is cool. So if they're hearing that, then okay, I think I have perspective there.
Absolutely.
It really confirms your instincts and your
Absolutely.
perspective. And it really enables you to start trusting your instincts. You're like, okay, if I feel it, I always tell my students, they're like,
It's intuition right there.
yeah, it's like this.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm like this. I always like, in terms of intuition, I'm like, think about, you really have two feelings, good and down. We have default, which is right now, we're just vibing. Mm-hmm. But if someone brought some pizza in, we'd probably be like, oh, or someone blew a fart or something, we'd be like, oh. So you either get a pull or a lift, right? So we're on default, you either get lift, pull throughout your day. So it's a natural human instinct. So I'm like, I tell my students all the time, like, they're like, well, how do I know when my snare sounds good? How do I know when the vocal sounds good? I'm like, okay, that lift, pull? Like, you can't help it. When you see a cool car, you go, ooh, or you see a nice looking lady, or see something negative, you get pulled. I'm like, we'll do the same in terms of focusing on a performance or a sound. Does it make you go, or does it make you go, ah? Yeah. Just instinctively. You're going to feel that pull if you just quiet your mind and listen. So it's really confirming when that becomes autopilot, that your instincts become autopilot. You're like, I fuck with that. Or I don't know about that, So a little metaphysical right there. I'm sorry.
No,
bro.
We're gonna pick right back up from there. But we want to do this little segment that we always do. Pete, tell them what it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our point of the day. We have a segment here. We're going to drop some stuff up here. You can't peek.
Okay.
First thing that come to mind, let it fly.
Okay.
It's the name of the Let it fly.
Let it fly.
So we're gonna hit you with some things.
Let it
Just
fly.
hoping you're ready.
And give it 30 seconds of your time, and then we'll at least snake. We'll back it down.
Yep.
All
right. No peeking. All right, everybody look back. Oh, we got Mr. Jay-Z, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Jay-Z.
2.5 bill.
Yes.
That's a few dollars.
Brooklyn-born rapper.
What you at? Where you at, man?
What I say about that brothers, God bless him. You know what I mean? Like I say, he's breaking the paradigm of what stereotypical brothers supposed to look like. You know what I mean? How the media. Yeah, it's so funny how well, I won't say white boys, but non-brothers, other genres, country and rock, they have the liberty to just be as ignorant as they want. They can dress however they want. But brothers, we get pigeonholed into this thing.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? You get pigeonholed into this thing. And it's easier for the corporations to sell it. It's easier for corporations. So God bless it, brother, to have the platform to just be like, let his nuts hang.
Yeah.
At this point.
For sure.
Brooklyn-born rapper Jay-Z is now worth a report 2.5 billions. Big B's, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So all I can say is this. It's The Rock. It's The Rock, man. It don't get no better than that. Dynasty, all that, man. Fade to Black, everything, man. He's the GOAT for a reason. To me, personal, MJ rapping for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I concur that greatness at its finest. Jay-Z has definitely set the template for a lot of artists in the game, especially in the rap music side of it. And I think he's still rapping now.
Right.
You know, lay off for a couple years, come back and lay the verse of the year.
He just comes in and out when he wants,
verse of the
bro.
year.
Yeah.
And besides the money and the Forbes, and I know he doesn't care having the baddest woman on the earth, and that's just my opinion, but it's greatness. That's all. Every time I think of Jay-Z, that's what I see.
Yeah.
No, I mean, he's just a straight up legend, dude. And not even that, I mean, he's a huge businessman, and I think he's helped out so many people in that area of his life to make them businessmen and show people how to do business. And I mean, he's great, bro.
What did Warren Buffett say in this same post? He said, "This is the guy that you should be listening to."
Well,
Warren Buffett.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
So,
definitely Jay-Z. I've seen some just one-on-one interviews with him with his guard down, and he comes from a sincere place. He's not your typical
Right.
Yeah.
He's coming from a sincere place.
For sure.
Yeah.
For
He's
sure.
been through
A
some
rooted place.
things, and he definitely helps a lot of people out,
Absolutely,
for sure.
absolutely. Not mad.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, close your eyes.
There we go. We on the next
Y'all
one.
ready? All right, everybody, y'all can go ahead and turn around and look.
Oh,
Read it
go
off.
right there.
Read it
Uh-oh.
off, P.
Spotify's Joe Rogan problems. Turn out his deal might be worth 200 mil? Really?
Wow.
So we'll start Joe here, and then we'll come back.
That
Yeah,
shocked me.
I got some things to say.
I know.
I seen that number before I was even done reading it, and it just
I got some things to say. Yeah.
that made my
Start us off, Joe. Come on, man.
Dude, I'm still like
I'm still
beating.
trying to think and just making something short about this. That's all. I just don't want to get too deep into it. No.
You want me to start?
No. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Because when I see Rogan, you know why I really dislike? Because Joey's on there. Because Joey Diaz is always on there. He does a lot with Joey Diaz. And I think Joey Diaz is funny as and everybody thinks I look like outside like his fucking ass. And I don't. But it's just fun. That's why I kind of like.
You
Rogan's
also can't
just,
leave out my
that's a lot of
controversial
fucking
guy,
money, man.
Eddie Bravo.
Yeah, no, exactly.
yeah,
I
that's
like
my
a lot
guy.
of the people he has on there, like, but dude, that's a lot of coin right there.
All right.
I'm still shaking. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
I got something to say.
So it kind of alludes to something you said earlier. He's got and pardon my French, the you money, right? Yes. So he can do what he wants in his platform, and people, they come on, and like for instance, Mr. Beast, right? If you guys don't know who he is, he's the biggest YouTuber there.
Right.
I mean, this guy is making hand over fist of cash. I mean, millions on millions a month, and he came on his platform, right? And he's like, yeah, I didn't blow up until I went on the Joe Rogan podcast, and so this guy just had the platform he has, and then him moving to Texas, and the compound he's built. It's he's just, and people forget he started off a long time ago.
Yep.
I mean, and then the UFC thing is different as well.
Well, no, I mean, that's,
he started off a long.
No, you just reminded me of something. That's why
time.
you're waiting for me to say something. And I just thought, no, I worked with Rogan before, dude.
Damn.
On the Man Show.
Glad you remembered.
Oh, yeah, the Man Show.
Yeah, and then I saw him years later. He didn't remember who the I was. I was like, whatever, dude. And it wasn't like I was an to him. I was just being cool, having a conversation. Yeah. So no, that I forgot about.
Did you bring that up though to him?
Yeah, I told you that story off camera a bunch of times.
I guess fear wasn't a factor for you
No,
that day.
no, he was on the Man Show. I mean, he really worked
Man
his
Show, I remember
Dude,
that.
I was on the Man Show with him, and then I had Ron Jeremy was there too. Just think about that whole scenario.
Oh my goodness. That man. I got stories about him.
I bet you do.
I got
a lot of
one.
people do, obviously.
Yeah.
I wish I knew the episode where Fear Factor where he actually got in a fight with one of the contestants.
Yeah, I just saw that the other day.
Yeah,
I just saw. He really didn't get in a fight though.
Well, he arm locked and controlled the
he wasn't
situation.
hitting anybody.
All right, let's swing it.
What you got for
what
us?
you got?
First of all, I'm not mad at Joe Rogan at all, but I am sorry. I'm just gonna say I'm be that guy. I'm mad at Spotify. Absolutely, I'm real mad at Spotify. Spotify. I'm mad at Spotify. Yes, it's the wrong thing to say probably, but
Yeah.
I said it.
Yeah.
I won't go into it.
But yeah, I get it. I get it.
I'm a little mad at them. Yeah,
I'm sure you have
I'm mad
stuff
at labels
lined
too.
up.
Right.
I'm mad at labels them too. So that's all right though.
Controversial character. Let's slide into the next one.
He's
worked
cool.
on it. He worked on it.
Spotify is.
Yeah,
All right. Close your eyes and imagine. Ooh, Proposition 122. what's that? Legalizes some of the psychedelics in Colorado. Ooh. Now the state has to come up with regulations.
Yeah, that's tight. I got a lot of buddies live in Colorado.
Right.
Yeah, it's a cool state. It's a cool state. I mean, I think microdosing is actually could be very therapeutic for a lot of people. I know a lot of people that microdose, and they seem to be better people, more well-adjusted people. Microdose.
You're looking right at the man who started microdosing.
That was a funny day. Funny day.
You know what? Let's just take our time. Go, Joe.
Yes, the floor is yours.
This is yours.
The floor is yours.
Nah, man, I think it should be. I mean, when I look at life now and everything that we were talking earlier about, we learned back in the day, like it's all starting to when the whole Prohibition Act and when prostitution was legal and the whole you could do anything and the drugs and everything. Now we're starting to come back to that, and it's really interesting to me, especially even you put gambling in there, right? I mean, it was legal to gamble. Now you can get. It's time.
Exactly.
Let people enjoy and do their thing.
Yeah, make some money from it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that microdosing. If you get some good little candy bars, it's fun. It's just chills. It just everything's just enhanced. It's fun.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Oh, I was gonna say.
That's what I'm at. I'm like, let it go.
I wore a mushroom shirt on the podcast that said "Let it ride," so you guys know what I'm at.
Yeah, exactly. And your story too, and part of your story about coming to LA and everything, to Arizona, right?
Telling you, bro,
exactly.
It changes your life. It gets you deep. You know, and I'm not saying there's like microdosing and doing like the CBD version, right? It doesn't have to be like a heavy psychological trip for you,
right?
But and it changes your energy. But if you do want to go down that road, it's just like we'll talk about Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers every week. Ayahuasca. We talk.
You said it right finally.
Yeah, I finally got it. Ayahuasca.
There we go.
And and you just realize what's going on in your inner mind. That's what it does for me. I don't know personally.
No, yeah. I mean, I think it's a great thing.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just gonna ask the question because it's kind of still posed there. Regulations. Do you think this should be also looked at as like how marijuana is?
I think it should be regulated.
Absolutely.
For
sure.
Okay. So I just want to know, who's going to be the first Super Mario to get their shroom. That's what I want to know. Anybody going one up over here?
He's good at that.
Let me know where the coins is at.
Let me know where the coins is at. That was funny.
Hey, man.
Oh, fuck. You're killing me,
It's about to be
dude.
a lot of that going on. I can't wait to see one on a surfboard.
I hear that.
I mean, they're going to be on snowboards out there, so when it gets out this way, people going to be in the ocean with it. John's going to be after y'all.
Let's slide to the next one. Let's do another one.
You a fool,
This is fun, right? Is this fun?
This is amazing. I like this. Is amazing.
This little element.
Come to the ocean
let
after
it fly.
the snow.
Like I said, let it
Oh
fly.
my God, dude.
I like
You guys ready?
Yeah.
And cut.
That's funny.
Last one, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's see. What we got? Ooh.
Where we at?
Read it, please.
Top 10 Google's most searched people
Andrew Tate
in the world 2022. Google has revealed the most searched people in the world in 2022 with Johnny Depp, Will Smith, Amber Heard, and topping the list. What do y'all think?
Let's start with D. What's
Yeah.
up, D?
First of all, I'm gonna say this. Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
He says some things that I feel resonate with a lot of fellas.
Yes.
In terms of the misogyny and all that other stuff, you can put that stuff aside. But I personally appreciate his message of, we were talking about just getting soft. The priest and men are like, no one gives a if you're sad. If you want to, you gotta bleed. You gotta work hard. That's so funny because I read something on some that was splashing him, and they're just bashing him. Just like, oh, he's this and that. My husband's turned to this. Yeah, of course, there's always gonna be stupid asses that take some too far,
right?
And start hating women, this and that. But then I was like, let me listen to this guy. So first thing I clicked on, he said this, and like I say, I'm not holding the banner for him. I'm just saying. First thing I heard him say was this. He's like, do I like waking up in the morning, 6 a.m, and training kickboxing? No. Do I like getting hit? No. Do I like so-and-so? No. Then why do I do it? Because I'm disciplined. And I know that if I don't do this, then I'm not going to achieve my goals. I'm like, I f*** with this guy. And then from there, he really was saying a lot of things. In terms of, creating the, whatever success I've created in music, it was hard as And then building this music company, you know, Mosh Pit, this virtual concert company that I'm doing, it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And literally, I was at a point, you know, months ago when I listened to that, I was like, you know what? I needed a shot of that. I needed a shot of that. So, as I say, you take the message and leave the rest of the on the side. So I'm going to stop at that. Yeah.
It's up to you, bro.
I feel like he created a lot of male toxicity.
Yes.
If I said that right?
Toxicity.
Toxicity?
Yes.
There we go. There we go. Good look at
I get you.
it. There is some positive in his message, but a lot of it's creating a lot of idiots out there.
That's true.
You know, and it's very disrespectful that we have to be held to what he thinks everything is, and we're getting away from the basics. Yeah. We're getting away from, you know, where we all started from. You know, 2 parents, all that stuff, and just respecting the woman. So
exactly.
It's kind of, I see some of the messages, but in a lot of it, it's just kind of contradicting because it's also putting a front that if I have this finances behind everything that I'm saying, it doesn't matter. And that's one of the things that I hate when people think because of what I've accumulated outside of me determines who I am.
Truth.
So I just say this:
100%.
you can be a piece of in a Ferrari, and when you get out the Ferrari, you're still a piece of.
Right.
So that's it.
Like I say, you take the chunks,
Well
leave
said,
the rest. Leave the rest of the take the chunks out.
You know, I'll look at it. I look at it like this. You know, it's a polarizing figure, and I said this last week. And I look at it like this. You know, he does say a lot of good things, man. I mean, I've done the same thing you did. I've dove down that rabbit hole of Andrew Tate. But we all got to remember that this is a business and a game that's played, right? Yes. And you say things to get clicks, and you say things to get views, and you say things to get money, and you play this game and organic and da-da-da. Come on, man. But, you know, what they're doing to him at this point is downright disgusting. And Romaine, locking him up, putting him away for what he's been, you know. Like, come on, man. What are we doing? Like, we talked about this last week. You all know. Chat GPT, right? You get into a point where it's like, what are we pigeonholing and holding back and compromising from now on? Can we speak on this microphone anymore? What are we going to do?
Yes.
You know, so that's where I look at it with him. But, you know, like, cool guy. And some of the things he says is crazy.
Oh, yeah. He says some crazy.
Crazy.
And that's coming from left field.
Yeah,
a lot of stupid.
people.
That's coming from left field, y'all. So you know,
I get
trying
it.
to get the click, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think it's interesting when I look at that and they have the headline names and we just talked about and everything else. I figure a sports figure would be up there when you think about when you're talking about the most Google people name. I mean, seriously, I was surprised.
Well, we ran Andrew Tate the whole time.
Yeah, but that's why I want to try to switch it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
2 of the
I'm
people they right
surprised.
next to each other. They go hand in hand.
I mean, if you look at the picture,
Seriously.
because we don't have the list, we don't have to. It's all
hand in
subjective,
face.
whatever. But,
Right.
I mean, Putin's on there and.
Ooh, I don't even
You know,
want to
I mean,
discuss
these
him.
two
Let's leave
guys,
it.
and then the Johnny Depp thing. That's crazy to me that many people Google him. Like I said, you expect to see like a big name superstar like LeBron. I mean, Brady.
Yeah.
I can go on. Rogers. I mean, Lamar Jackson. I can go on and on. I would expect to see bigger names like a sports
These
name.
things
in there.
broke the internet, though. If you
Yeah,
really think about it,
for sure.
they dominated headlines for so long. So I mean, Amber Turd, all the we'll say it
Who is
again.
Amber
all
Heard?
the tabloids, all the
I
papers.
don't even want to discuss that, man.
Who is Amber Heard?
Who?
I'm sorry to say. Who is Amber Heard?
Johnny Depp.
You don't like Johnny Depp?
Didn't she take a dump on his bed?
Yeah. But you don't like Johnny Depp though? I thought he was.
No, I'm talking about Putin, bro.
Yeah, Putin.
Yeah.
Not Putin. Putin. Yeah. Putin. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
man.
Well, thank
I
you
think
for running that.
wraps
We're
us
done
up,
with it now,
man.
yeah?
We're letting it
We're
fly.
done, right? Absolutely. Thank you. That was a great
Thank you.
segment. That was fun.
It was.
Good job, guys.
I have something really cool though. So, what do you think about this statement? It's worth more to build relationships versus making money.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What can you dive a little bit into that and experiences you've had with that situation and that statement?
Yeah, 100%. I think that it's really something. God, man, I got like 4 thoughts going at the same time. I will say this: I am a quote unquote nice guy by nature. Meaning, I grew up very naive. I grew up very naive in this kind of distorted view of myself. 'Cause I grew up in a mostly white neighborhood, only black kid, Jewish and white neighborhood. So you always feeling like you're little bit less than. I also was like one of the smaller dudes, right? So I always had to work twice as hard with sports and things like that. So I always had this kind of inferiority complex, which built this like people-pleasing nature about me. So what's that old saying? 49 people in a room like you, and one doesn't. You work on the one.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I was plagued by that. It was a survival technique as a kid. So the reason why I'm bringing that up was because as I came out here and got involved with business and actually got in the real world, because my bubble in Shaker Heights, Ohio, which is it was a very controlled environment, I was taught a lot of lessons. So many times I've thought, because I've been burned by that guy. So I'm always like, do I have to go to the dark side to win?
Right.
Do I have to go to the
Right.
dark side, or can I keep my nature?
Right.
Can I keep my nature? My nature. I can't change my nature. So I've always come back to, I do not. I just have to protect. I have to protect my heart and not be so nice to everybody. So that being said, relationships 100% are the most important thing. At the end of the day, I found those that don't are left hollow. At the end of the day, you're like, are they truly happy? And at the end of the day, it's like they have to keep filling that hole, as opposed to meaningful relationships are absolutely the most valuable thing we can have. So absolutely, relationships are key.
That's key.
100%.
Way more than
Sorry, I went
sure.
off on a tangent.
No, this is what we're here for, brother.
I got a little emotional there.
He
Look
almost lobbed
back,
me into
Ricky.
it. Yeah.
That's some bullshit. That's some, you can cut all that shit out.
No.
That's some bullshit.
No, that's lit, bro.
Message.
I was talking to myself right there. Cut that shit out.
But I want to.
That's
I
real
told you
shit.
when we were coming up the elevator, I had something I want to ask you, and I mean it's very positive. So, you being a professor now, was that always the goal, or did you just drop into it? Did this happen?
That's the thing. Also, I've always that's very apropos tying into this people pleasing nature. I always like to show what I knew and
Right.
see the lights come on and people are like, oh yeah, you see, you like it. So it's always my nature
Right.
to always want to teach. It's just instinct. So I've been doing it. I really do it now. It doesn't really pay any money. It's just fun. It's just really fun.
Can you let them know where you're teaching at?
I teach UCLA.
Exactly.
He's another UCLA
great.
alumni.
Sorry,
guys.
I just wanted them to know.
It's wonderful.
And you do seminars at the Grammy Museum as well too, right?
Yeah.
From time to time, let my presence be known.
Let me just keep going though. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heard you. Great.
There's nothing more rewarding than seeing the lights come on. It's like teaching a man to fish. Instead of giving him fish, teaching him how to fish. You feed him forever. So there's nothing more rewarding than that. So that's really what I get. Plus also just having boots on the ground with, well, I'll say this, my company right now, we're basically appealing to masses of aspiring artists, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because we want to democratize, virtual concerts and all this other stuff and all these Web3 aspects and basically bring it to the masses because right now it's really only reserved for a select few. We're trying to broaden the awareness. So with that being said, by me teaching these for, since 2007, it's almost like an extension of myself. It's like I was that guy. Now I'm able to share my stab wounds and bullet wounds with everybody. And so I get as much from my students as they get from me. I'm able to give them the war stories and give them the wisdom and give them the techniques and this and that. But what I get is their stories, and it keeps me connected. It keeps me connected to the street. To the street, boots on the ground.
real shit
It's a
right
wonderful thing. It's a real symbiotic relationship. I love it.
The virtual concerts and the whole idea, like if you guys don't understand, so what he's creating is a whole experience, and he's going to explain it way better. But he allowed me the privilege to do some voiceovers on some of the stuff he's done, and it's a really it's like a rock band slash like it's so much. It's like Sims meets it's a whole experience. So elaborate on that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, my company is called Mosh Pit XR LLC, and what it is we have created software that enables anybody of any level to create a virtual concert. Did anyone, you guys see Fortnite, Travis Scott?
Absolutely.
Fortnite,
Right, yeah.
where people could go inside Fortnite and see Travis Scott performing in the environment.
Facts.
And you could with Travis Scott and this and that. So you're actually in the environment with him. So, but the thing is that those enterable virtual concerts, first of all, quick side note, virtual concert term has become very genericized, especially during COVID. So if I have a Zoom right now, my laptop, and I'm playing guitar in front of a Zoom, and you all are on the other side of Zoom, You could call that a virtual concert. That's just no. It's really just a live stream. Yeah. That's just a live stream.
Wow.
So the term virtual concert has become genericized and turned into a lot of things. So when I say a virtual concert, I talk about actually going into an environment like a video game, and you're actually able to see the performer and interact with the performer in a 3D virtual space. So what we've done, like that Fortnite Travis Scott thing, is that was Epic Games, Unreal Engine. That took a lot of manpower, a lot of money, a lot of time to create that. So therefore, the masses of artists out there are completely pigeonholed. I'll say this, in terms of when Web 2 started in 2005, Web 2 meaning you could exchange information. Web 1 was 1990 to 2005. It was read-only internet. Web 2, 2005 to 2020, you could read and exchange. You could send messages and receive messages. So that was the birth of Google, Facebook, social media, YouTube, all these different things, Web 2. So when Web 2 started in 2003, 2005, YouTube was revolutionary in terms of being able to post video and then drive people to that and this and that. You got to remember, YouTube in the beginning was a barren landscape. It was like they had Chocolate Rain, K-Zonde, Chocolate Rain, right?
I do remember.
It was a barren. It was a wide
People
open.
didn't even
platform.
think that it would to even like.
Bro,
it was.
like
a
was,
mess. It was a dating. I think it was a dating app at first, right? Like kind of
YouTube
like
started off as
a dating like type of.
And then people are like in post video. So there's a thing about it was that it was a wide open platform. My point though is this: here we are 20 years later, and if you're an aspiring artist right now, because for every one Jay-Z, you got a million wannabe Jay-Z's, right? Sure. Artists that are hustling in their bedroom, this and that. What is their user journey? The user journey is this. All right, I know the mindset of an aspiring artist. They're not gamers. They're not what I call social media scrollers. People just scroll through shit, or people that are hard gamers. They sit in front of their DAW, or their Pro Tools, or Logic, or Ableton, or Digital Performer, or whatever you have it. They make music. They mix that shit, they master that shit, they'll shoot a video. But they do is, what are their lanes of distribution? Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, digital distributor, SoundCloud, a digital distributor, which is basically a hired record label like DistroKid or CD Baby or TuneCore. All of these lanes I just named are 100% saturated. So all of these hundreds of millions of aspiring artists out there are completely, because you have the 1% that are signed to record labels that get the food chain. Just like we were talking about in the 80s, how the middle class economy totally eroded. So now you have the top and everyone else down here. Same thing in the music industry is that there is no middle class anymore. You have the 1%ers and everyone else is down here hustling. So that being said, what we want to do with Mosh Pit is democratize that Travis Scott Fortnite experience and give the tools to everyone. Think about it like TikTok. I call it a top-down versus a bottom-up approach. A top-down approach would be to take a Travis Scott and basically he's a top guy and it brings people in. As opposed to a bottom-up approach is more of a TikTok approach. Give the tools to the people, let them build, and the content scales exponentially. So our thing is a bottom-up approach where we're taking these sophisticated tools and procedures and methodologies that they made this Travis Scott thing in. We've simplified it. We give it to the masses and let them create their own shows. So now, if you're an artist, aspiring artist, you're like, I get a couple streams on YouTube. I got every song. My mix is dope. My song is dope. I get a couple streams. I get a couple views. I get a couple likes. I get a couple buys, and then you're on to the next song. Same thing. I get a couple streams. That's the roadmap for every. And think of that. The demographic is gigantic. There's hundreds of millions of aspiring artists, rappers, DJs, bands around the globe. So if you're able to give them a brand new tool to make a brand new type of content, I'll even go back. Look at MTV. We're talking about that in 1981. When MTV launched, summer of 1981, No Kids on the Street. This was a brand new medium. Think about it. Before MTV, first of all, the first song on MTV was Video Killed the Radio Star. We know that, right?
I do.
Video Killed the Radio Star. The thing about before MTV, it didn't really matter how you looked. It really didn't matter if you were, not a Vogue model or not, looked like a chisel bro, whatever it is. The content is really what mattered. Yeah. But once video started, this is a brand new canvas for artists to say, wow, now I can create a visual aspect of my whole persona. This is a brand new medium. It's a revolutionary medium which created a gigantic sub-economy. So that was MTV. That was music videos. But here we are. Music videos are now kind of passé.
Yep.
Then you have, YouTube where people are like, oh, shoot, I can shoot my own little video and stick it up there. So here we are 20 years later again. So 1980 to 2000, 2022, it's time for a new type of content because 2D-based media is getting kind of blasé. What about, and then enter Web 3. We're talking about Web 3 now. So we have Web 1, 1990 to 2005, read only. Web 2, 2005 to 2020, read and write. Web 3, 2020, 22 and beyond, which is read, write, and own. Think about Web 3. Web 3 is simply this. People think Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX and NFTs, NFTs, all that. The underlying technology of Web 3 is absolutely priceless. What is it? Think about it like this. If I'm able to take a digital object, whether it be a video or a piece of audio or anything that is digital, and I'm able to put a serial number on it, a low jack, like on your car, you can track that digital object across the internet, across a blockchain. So basically, thinking about Web 2, it was a copy and paste world.
Right.
So think about a meme. Someone has a crazy ass meme, right? And that meme gets copy and pasted, just digitized. So what if someone could identify who had the original meme?
Right.
That would be valuable.
Valuable.
But you can't in Web 2 because it just proliferates. Web 3 is like, put a serial number on that, then put it out there. Then you're able to track where that picture goes, where that original, and you're able to verify this is the original. So saying all that to say, my company Mosh Pit has created the software. It's coming out this summer.
Just like
coming out this summer.
I got
that
inside
enables
that.
anybody to create a virtual concert, right? Where people can think about YouTube. You can go inside, and then there's a Web3 aspect where there's a royalty stream from that, as opposed to just something that's not trackable per se. So enterable concerts, trackable media, which is a brand new paradigm. So we're setting ourselves up for the future. So I could go on, but hopefully that gives you an idea.
I hope you guys.
I saw the pitch. I saw the pitch of it. Little birdie, inside birdie. Toot.
I'm gonna rewatch.
She showed it. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah,
I think it's brilliant.
Oh, you saw that?
Yeah,
Right.
I've seen it. I think it's brilliant. It's gonna take off for sure.
Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you. We're coming out
It's gonna
this
help
summer.
a lot of people.
Thank you. That's what we want to do. That's really my main thing. Is ever since I've been in the music industry, sleeping in the mix, I was like, man, this shit is broken. This music industry is broken. It's broken. I'm going to change it. I want to do something. I need to do something. Like, why not me? And so that's what I'm aiming to do right now is I really want to open up a brand new way for hundreds of millions of artists around the planet to create a new type of content that will become as iconic as a music video or YouTube or whatever you have it. So a new type of media.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what we're doing. Why not me?
Well,
Why
you
not?
got support of this platform.
Yeah, you're amazing, bro.
150%.
Thank you.
So
You're amazing.
we're definitely,
I had
bro.
so much
Whatever
fun
we
with
can
you
do.
on
You're
doing this,
amazing.
bro.
Yes.
This is a good
So,
time.
Grandma
I
said, "What's
appreciate
up?"
this.
I couldn't even get to no questions. This guy.
I mean, that's a beautiful
So
thing.
good,
I mean, he just so good and
Man,
so
that-
knowledgeable.
We gotta
And
have
bro,
you back.
I'm down.
But I also gotta get you to become a comedian, dude. You're fucking funny, bro.
He's celebrity, man. Come on, bro.
I'm corny. I'm corny as
Nah,
you're
it's
good. You're
definitely
funny, bro.
very
Let's do
cool. I was very
motivational P
funny.
though before we get out of
Yeah,
here.
very
Let's
positive.
get that, man.
So
Do
I
your
just want to
thing,
say
bro.
this part
Talk
of the
your
We all
podcast
gonna
Talk
do
your
one.
is going to be
We all
the
gonna do
positive
one, right?
period
Yeah.
of the podcast, okay?
Yeah, talk your
Go ahead and just leave, the audience at home with some inspiration, some positivity, motivation as well.
Okay.
You want to go ahead and start this off, our special guest?
Let me tag off you, brother.
Okay, tag off of me. Let me
yeah.
tag off of me.
Motivational P.
Yes.
Right here.
Yes.
All right. So this week I want to say, let's get back to loving ourselves. Not enough people are, really giving themselves self-love, and they're trying to require it from others. But you can't require something or expect other people to give you something that you don't give yourself. So self-love is really where it starts before you allow others to love you. That's it. That's all. Because I love y'all, man.
Yeah. I can piggyback off that because I'm going through some really tough stuff right now. And don't be afraid to ask for help. You got to ask people for help.
That's right.
Period. Your pride's got to be set aside. You got to ask people for help when you need it, and trust the fact that they will be there for you. You know, and
Some real Lance.
Yep.
And I'm gonna go ahead and piggyback off that one. And you know, there's been a lot of great things happening in my life since the podcast started and all the growth I went through. And I finally realized, you know, I mean, I think people, when they say they're broken, they think it's a bad thing. And it's not, because I'm a broken man. I've been through life, trials and tribulations. I wear my heart on my sleeve. Everyone knows this. But the thing I do now that I realize is good is helping people, giving advice to people looking up to you, saying, and tell them, look, I've done mistakes. And, you know, it happened the other night, man. I had someone at the bar, and he was a younger kid with this girl, and he was talking about going FI-Core because he's SAG, and he wants, so he can do both. That's a big thing in SAG. And he's all, well, my friends said this, and my friends, I don't know, that they were saying, go your friends, bro. It's about you. They ain't going to be there. Everybody's going to be gone from you one day. You're not going to be very small. So I could go on a ramble. I wanted to say that. So
that's. I hope we got a good.
We come with heat. We come with heat on here,
man. Man, I'll say this. God, there's so many things, you know. But I'll say this. Just today, I just had a bit of a revelation in terms of building this this company. Like I said, it's the most challenging thing I've ever done. At the same time, it's the most rewarding. And there have been some moments when I'm just like, you know, I could just dip. Like, fuck it, I could just dip and be out. You know what I mean? I don't need these headaches. You know, but something always brings me back. I heard Michael Beckwith say something very inspirational today. I won't be able to say it as eloquently as he said, but he said something like, for you to receive something, you have to be willing to become what you desire. So in that, I was like, so I've been dealing with some challenges. I'll tell you, building a startup
right.
is a great phrase. Building a startup is like jumping off a building and building an airplane on the way down before you hit the ground. It's like that. It is literally, it's not for the, if you're a masochist, you should with it. Yeah,
right.
If you don't like torture,
Don't do it. Same for you.
Don't do it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Especially being I hate this term, CEO.
Right.
You know, it's just like, man. But you know, make a long story short is that the message is this, is that there have been many times that I am like, just resist things that I need to do. I must do, right? But I do them because I'm disciplined. But then I say, you know what, instead of resist them, totally own them. Actually be, I can't even say it. I can't even say it. Absorb and be what it is. Instead of resisting it, be willing to become what I am that I'm trying to accept. I don't know if that makes sense.
It
but
does.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
it
makes
makes
I hope
total
that,
sense.
yeah,
Total
so it's,
sense.
I know they hear it too.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not saying it as eloquently as he said
Right.
it, but
No, I get it.
I have so many things, but that's just something that just came.
Well, that's why you're coming back on.
Hey,
Be love ones
Yeah,
in order
I'm
to
gonna
get
study up next
love.
time.
No, that's why you're going to come back on.
Yes,
yeah.
Right.
For
Yes,
sure.
yes,
Ah,
yes.
for
Accept it.
sure.
Don't start a startup. Don't start a startup.
Hey, say that again. Don't start a startup.
Unless you like pain.
Unless you
like
want pain.
Right.
Unless you want pain. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I know there's a man outside that curtain right now that feels us. He understands where you're coming from.
Oh
for
my
sure.
goodness.
So
Oh
let
my
the
goodness.
compadres
He
at
heard you
home
for
also
sure.
know
Yes.
how to find you, bro.
Yes.
Let the compadres at home know how to find you. You know, all your
Oh, my
pages, everything.
goodness.
Throw it at them because I know you got a lot.
My goodness.
Start with
Okay. I'm a straight fraud. I swear to God. I'm so bad at social media. I got a guy.
Mm-hmm.
I got a guy that
I got
I'm
a
a
guy.
straight fraud.
I'm a straight
At
fraud
Darryl
because
Swann,
Someone
double
told
D.
me to mention your
Double N?
socials.
just spell my name right.
Right.
DARRYLSWANN.
Yes.
It's
Instagram.
some Hollywood
There you go.
shit. It's some Hollywood shit.
All
Google
over the
me.
place.
Google me.
Google me.
Google me.
Google me.
Look. Google them.
Google me.
One truth. Yeah, you'll see. You'll see
No,
all the
this-
facts.
Mr. Swan. Ladies and gentlemen.
It's a blessing to be here, you guys.
Hey, man.
Thank you,
Thank
man.
you for
This is
blessing
family.
I
us.
really had a great time. You're
It's a family.
one hell of a human being, bro.
One of the best
Thank you,
interviews, man. It's dope.
You already know you
Thank
family.
you.
You already
Thank you.
know.
Absolutely.
You already know,
Absolutely. This
brother.
is fam. This is
You already
fam.
know.
Big man can reach over there, look, you know.
Put those
Yes,
mitts
sir.
over there.
Yeah. Watch
Take
out
us
for the
outta
mitts
here.
coming through.
Okay, compadres, at this point in time, you know what to do. That's at COMPODRES. And to my right, the man himself.
I am _Il_Sun.
And also to my right, the man himself too.
The real Joe Rosati.
We're gonna stick with that.
He
Ladies and
changed his
gentlemen.
name recently.
Yeah, changed it.
We had a name change. Oh my God. We sticking that with that though, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And I am your host, SB Press, and like that, compadres, we go.
I need all the wins. Yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get it, no call it quits. Yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets. Yeah.